In July 2015, an emergency session was held to vote on NCA 15-156, a law of the Muscogee Creek Nation authorizing the principal chief to accept the donation and request trust status for property located in Muscogee County and appropriating funds for the incidental costs associated with the trust application. A regular session was held February 27, 2016 to pass an easement for the Diamond Pipeline. TR 16-022, a tribal resolution of the Muscogee Creek Nation authorizing the principal chief to execute a right-of-way and easement grant across tribal land for the construction, use, and maintenance of pipeline for Diamond Pipeline LLC in Muscogee County, Oklahoma. A regular session was then held in February of this year opposing the pipeline. A tribal resolution was passed authorizing the principal chief to deed real property located in Muscogee County, Oklahoma. Muskogee Media was granted an interview with Principal Chief James Floyd to discuss the timeline of events pertaining to the Diamond Pipeline issue.
Lee Madison LLC, I believe, are the owners of the RV ranch, and that's the extent that I know about Lee Madison LLC.
And have you been in contact with them?
I have not. The date of the land transfer and the amount of land preceded me in the office. So I'm not sure the background on how or at the present time, I'm not sure the exact acreage of the land. I would say it's more or less 10 acres, 5 acres, something like that. It's a small parcel of land adjacent to the Duck Creek Casino. Not to my knowledge during this administration. The action of the National Council last weekend was to deed the property, give the principal chief, myself, the authority to deed the property away from the nation. And this property was received on a quitclaim deed from Madison. And there were a number of questions about that. Of course, you have the issue with the pipeline that kind of traversed a section of that property. And really, the nation was given a piece of property that we had no interest in and received it with things that normally we would not take in property. And so the procedures that we generally follow in either buying or accepting property were not followed. And it was felt by the National Council and myself as well for us to just quitclaim deed the property back to the people who gave it to us and move on. Well, in terms of talking to the previous owners of this property and to Madison LLC, at this point, I see no need that the principal chief should be involved in discussions because really we have no interest in their company or this piece of property. However, it doesn't exclude the Attorney General's office looking into it to take a deeper look at how we arrived at this situation. And them being independent, they may be doing so as we speak. They don't apprise me of it. They don't need to. They're independent. But I think they probably have some questions concerning this because of the unusual nature of how we got this property. I can't speak for them. This was received in about August 2015. So in that regard, I probably am not the person to be asking that question to because I just don't know. The question of whether we would receive money from the pipeline company is one of the issues that we considered. It appears that when the property was deeded over to the tribe, that a condemnation process was already in place with by Diamond Pipeline against the previous owners. However, we find no records of the nation receiving any funds from Diamond Pipeline. We did take action, as you are probably aware, in 2016 to allow a right-of-way on that property, which was basically a frontage road. But at that time, to my knowledge, there wasn't any indication of any settlement with Diamond Pipeline regarding the compensation for them, the compensation to us as a nation from Diamond Pipeline for that piece of property that they had condemned. To my knowledge, the pipeline doesn't cross any of the nation's property, any of our restricted property, or any of our ceremonial grounds. It comes near, I think, within a mile of the Duck Creek ceremonial ground. But we have had staff look at the line itself, and predominantly, I would say at least 90% or more is private-owned fee property. Some tribal members may own that, but again, everything we've seen, it does not cross trust or the nation's property or restricted property. I've not spoken to the Miko at Duck Creek regarding Diamond Pipeline, no. The present situation and the actions that the National Council took wasn't really because of Standing Rock. I think we wanted to take a look at that issue ourselves. Now, there are people that have raised that issue, and we were aware of that. But if anything, we wanted to take a deeper look at the land itself, and kind of secondary to that was the pipeline. And I think that we acted in the best interest of the nation and our citizens by deeding that property back to the previous owners. Well, as a nation, there will probably not be any formal efforts to stop the pipeline because we really have no standing, since we would be dealing with private property owners throughout the course of the pipeline through the Creek Nation. Now, symbolically, we could pass a resolution saying that we don't like the pipeline, but private property owners, from what we have heard, have all settled with Diamond Pipeline and accepted money, so you kind of expect, with that transactions already being completed, that they're allowing us to go through their property. So again, we have very little standing in trying to interfere with the rights of private landowners within the Creek Nation when it doesn't involve restricted property, trust property, or any of the nation's property. I personally talked to several citizens about it, and from the action from Saturday, they seem to be pleased with the action that was taken. It was passed on Saturday. Both the Speaker of the Council and myself signed the legislation on Monday, and subsequent to that, then the land was deeded back to the previous owners. Pretty simple, actually. It was in a quit claim deed to us, which is basically just a piece of paper that did not need our permission, evidently, and they took it to the courthouse and filed it basically saying that the new owners are the Muscogee Creek Nation, unbeknownst to us, from what I can gather. So we basically generated the same piece of paper, took it down to the courthouse and filed it and said that we're deeding this back to, I think, Madison LLC. I'm not entirely sure. And that's kind of the end of the story.
And so it's no longer ours as of now.
As of earlier this week, it's no longer any property of the Muscogee Creek Nation. Well, I think that going forward with anything regarding property, we need to make sure that we do follow the procedures that were already in place and have been in place for a number of years before any property is even accepted by the nation. We do have people who want to provide free property to the Creek Nation. There's people who want to sell it at a reduced price, and there's people who want to sell us property, for commercial, private reasons. All of those, there has to be due diligence done through the Department of the Interior. That includes environmental work, title searches, and to make sure that there's no encumbrance on that property that would cloud that title in any way. And I think, if anything, it's caused us to pause and make sure that any land that we have in the future that we're seeking to purchase, that we make sure that every detail is attended to and nothing left to assumption. Well, maybe that's the right word. And I think we'll be okay.